Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Kyle, and well, let's just say this intro is taking me quite a bit to do just because I realized my mic was way too loud, and I probably would have deaf all your ears if you even listened to those original audio clips. But regardless, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but since the last video, I've been on a journey, I guess you could say a healing journey, and I feel comfortable and I'm ready. I'm ready to make content for you guys again. So, welcome back to the channel. I hope you've been good this past while. Hope you had a good Christmas. New Year's is around the corner. So, let's start 2025 with me talking about a passion I want to talk more about on this channel and something I've always wanted to talk about, fighting games, and specifically no fighting games at all. Now, whoops. Now, what I mean about that is, I just want to talk about my journey with fighting games and rather not, go too in depth about my thoughts on certain fighting games, which I do want to do later on. But this is just more how I found fighting games and I found the FGC, and just talk about all that and just you know, you know get on with it. So, without wasting your time, without wasting anybody's time, let's talk about fighting games. But before we jump into the video, I want to say thank you for everyone who's been watching and supporting this far. It means a lot to see people watching these videos and, giving me the time of day despite me just being some random person on the internet. So, for all you watching, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And with that said, let's get on to the rest of the video. So, my journey with fighting games really started in the arcades, the pure heart of fighting games. Now, the first fighting game I've ever played or I could remember playing was definitely Street Fighter 4, the original Street Fighter 4. Um, I went to this movie theater a lot, and on top they had an arcade, which sometimes I would go to while I was waiting for like my parents or something to come pick me up. Um, and yeah, that's really where I found my love for fighting games. Now, when I first played Street Fighter 4, obviously I was garbage. I didn't know how the game played. But through the people who were playing and working there, I learned a lot on, video game mechanics, the Dragon Punch input, the very famous, quarter circle punch, the Hadouken. And I realized that despite every other video game community, the FGC community, they're so open to people, no matter what your age is, if you're a kid, you're an adult. Now, not this doesn't apply to everybody, and there are some bad apples in the FGC, But I would say generally the favors are very nice. I would say they're comparable to the Monster Hunter community, who are just as open to new players as old players. But not to get ahead of myself, the first fighting game I ever played was Street Fighter 4. And from there, I've actually played quite a good chunk of fighting games. I've played games from the Tekken series, which is like probably I would say my favorite fighting game franchise. It beats out Street Fighter just by a smidge, but I'm more of a Tekken fan than I am a Street Fighter fan, which is heresy. No, that's not true. I'm actually more of a Guilty Gear fan. That is my favorite game franchise so far right now. I'm just a huge fan of Guilty Gear, but I don't want to jump ahead. But yeah, that's how I discovered Tekken, Guilty Gear, King of Fighters, SNK, Marvel vs. SNK. No, Marvels. Capcom versus SNK, Marvel versus Capcom 2. I never played the first one, but I have the collection and I'd be interested to play it on stream. So let me know if you want to see me struggle through Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Um, and yeah, from there, I've just really been playing fighting games for practically as long as I can remember. They're just so fun to pick up and play. There really is no prerequisites you need to know to really play these games. You just have to learn as you go. Now I know a lot of people say maybe you should get some basics, but when you play one, you learn that a lot of the same mechanics just repeat themselves, despite each game having their own unique attributes. Like, the quarter circle punch will always be an input that does something in most fighting games. But Yeah, that's just, how I found my love for fighting games was really with Street Fighter. And it's where I found my home was in Street Fighter for a long time. But eventually we all have to get out of our comfort zone. I wasn't gonna be playing Street Fighter forever. I even owned a console to play Street Fighter on at the time. Street Fighter 4, I should say, at the time. But I had a PSP, and one Christmas I got a very special game, which was Tekken 6. Now, I don't know what people's opinions are on the PSP version of Street Fighter. I don't know what people's opinions are on Tekken 6, but or specifically the PSP port, but for me at the time, I thought it was awesome. I fell in love with all the characters there. This is where I found like my mains for life, which would be specifically Kazuya, Leo, and Asuka. Those would be my mains for forever. I still love playing them even till this day, which is funny because my friend's main is Jin. So when he picks Jin, I always pick Kazuya, and we just see who can tough it out the most. But you know, but yeah, no, Tekken was really the next franchise up in the line of where I found another home for fighting games because, like I said, I didn't have a PS3 for the longest time. But when I did get a PS3, you bet your butt I got, what was it? I think it was Ultra or Super. I can't remember which one of those versions of Street Fighter 4. I could go and check, but that would take a bit too long. So, yeah, I would say Tekken would be the next franchise, but I wonder what would be the next franchise that would jump into. Well, that surprised you because I wouldn't have expected it either. The next franchise I would find in my journey through fighting games was surprisingly Blaze Blue. Now I know probably a lot of you were probably expecting Guilty Gear, but no, it was the franchise not before Guilty Gear, but the franchise spawned from Guilty Gear, which was Blaze Blue. Now I think what was it? It was Chrono Phantasm. I think was the one I got. Yeah, it was Chrono Phantasm for the PS3. It was like dirt cheap. It was like what 10, $15 when I picked it up. It was pretty cheap. And I remember just being amazed by it. I think that's why I like Guilty Gear so much because ever since Blaze Blue just hasn't had a game in a long time in this franchise, I've drifted towards Guilty Gear to get that fix. And funny enough, because Guilty Gear is a franchise I only ever found out about, what, a year ago? I think it's around the time, who was it? I think it was on Elfeld came out. So not even a year ago, like less than that. Elfeld came out and I was like, oh, yeah, Guilty Gear is a franchise that exists. Let me give it a shot. And I've never looked back. I've been playing that for almost every day now. If you're curious, my main is Bridget. But yeah, no, I just love Guilty Gear so much. And funny enough, that is the next game on my journey. So after Blaze Blue, which I don't have much memories with just because I did play it a lot, but it was never a franchise I really went into depth with it. Despite playing every game that came after it, I never really, went online very much. I just stuck to the story mostly. And I would say it's a great fighting game, but unlike Guilty Gear, I feel that it might be not up to a lot of people's speeds because it's very tech heavy. And if you don't understand the tech, you won't understand Blaze Blue. But aside from that, but yeah, no, the next franchise I found was Guilty Gear. Um, in between, somewhere between Tekken and Street Fighter, I did play King of Fighters. Never much of it. I knew of King of Fighters because of Street Fighter, but for me, they were always like the same for me in my head. So moving on from all that rambling, and if you're wondering why this video is so much of me just rambling, it's because if you're not familiar, I don't have a script. I don't like scripts very much. I just kind of go a lot off the top of my head, and yeah, so I tend to ramble about just nonsense. That's why I go over my words and everything. But I think it's pretty fun, if you're just here for a casual, chat to see how one person, loves fighting games. That's great. But to go forward with all that, yeah, no, so after Guilty Gear, I really haven't played much other fighting games since that point. Now I'm really excited for the new I will say Streets of Rage. That's a Sega franchise and that's a beat 'em up. But no, I'm really excited for the new King of Fighters game coming out. I did like King of Fighters 15 and Oh, I completely forgot about Soul Calibur. Now that skipped my mind. You see, maybe that's why you should have a script, just so you don't miss franchises. Yeah, Soul Calibur was a franchise I knew. I probably played Soul Calibur 2, with the one on GameCube, the one with Link, one with my friend. He had it like I played at his house for a little bit. Um, yeah, I never got much into the Soul Calibur franchise. I played it maybe here or there, but I never really paid much attention to it. It wasn't really something up my alley, and I don't think it ever will be. It's just not my type of fighting game. But yeah, no, through all these, plays, and through all these, fighting games I've been through, I found that like I said at the beginning, the community for these games are surprisingly very welcoming. Now, I say that with a big, I would say quotations in mark, because, like I said, not everyone in these communities are going to be so open, and nice and everything. All of them have their own reserves, especially for people who play competitive a lot and take it very seriously. But I would generally say that the fighting game community is very nice. If you go to a tournament, even if you don't, obviously you're probably not going to win it. Even if you don't win it, everyone there would have a good time, despite those one or two interactions. But yeah, no. Um, yeah, I just wanted to make this short video, just one to say I'm back, and just to, talk about something I want to talk about before the New Year's, which was fighting games. Now, this is just more of an introduction video to tell you why I like fighting games and, my history with fighting games. I played a lot of fighting games, obviously, and I've said fighting games like 500 times in this video. But I just want this to be an introduction to me going more in depth into specific fighting games in the future. Because I really do want to, talk about Street Fighter, why I love that franchise, Tekken, and all that. Because, like I said, I've gone back and played the older ones. I've obviously been playing the new ones, and I wanted this just to be like a good introduction. So, with all that being said, if you liked the video, if you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're feeling nice, and I'll see you and everyone in the next one.